Hey everybody, welcome back to Nicky T Live. I'm your host Nick Taylor, and today I'm hanging out with my man Anthony Campolo. Anthony, how you doing?
Yo, yo, yo. Super stoked to be back and happy to chat about stuff I'm working on, some AI things, and have some conversations about that.
Cool, awesome. I'm just gonna drop some links for places where people can follow you if they want to. So I guess uh, I'll bring us over to pairing view right away, and we can just kind of jump into what we're gonna talk about today, and we're gonna do some live coding too. So so you created this repository called Auto Show, and I guess why don't you break it down what it's for, and then maybe some of the tech under there. Like we've got some different models for the LLMs and stuff. So I think it'd be good to kind of talk through all that before we even jump into things.
Yeah, so this is something where I was solving an issue that I had myself where I create tons of content. Like I do written content, audio content, video content. I go on podcasts, I do streams, and just like all
Yeah.
this different stuff that I do, and like both guest appearances and my own things. And you're in kind of in a similar boat. You've done almost all the same content mediums that I've done,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
you can think about them in different ways. You can kind of just like some people, if they're just doing a stream, like when you're doing like a co-working stream, you'll have like a one sentence description in like your YouTube description and like a generic title, and then you'll just go and you'll film like an hour and a half of content. And then
Yeah.
like if someone wants to watch it, they can watch it. But like that's it. That's just the whole thing. So the
Yeah,
problem I
yeah.
wanted to solve is I wanted to be able to just like take a huge chunk of content and do a couple of things. I wanted to create like a good summary and good like meta description and then specifically chapters, because a lot of like if you watch
Okay.
really legit podcasts, usually what they do is they'll break down the show into like discrete 5 or 10 minute sections
Okay,
that
yeah.
kind of hone in on a specific topic.
Yeah.
So I realized that you could use AI to do this if you had a whole transcript with timestamps. You could feed it once the context window got big enough for long enough conversations. You could feed it to ChatGPT or to Claude and basically say, "Hey, here's a transcript, and here's what I want. I want this summary. I want these chapters. I want the summary to be this long. I want the chapter description to be this long." You could tweak all these things. You can even say, "I want new title ideas." Like if it was a piece of content you didn't
Okay.
have a title for, or if you want like key takeaways or things like that. So I started just doing this, and I first started using Whisper.cpp, which is
Okay.
a C++ version of Whisper, which is an open source transcription model from OpenAI.
Okay.
And that ended up being the first kind of base layer. And what I did is I just built a whole bunch of scripts around it, and then also added in yt-dlp, which is a tool that lets you interface with YouTube. Because I was kind of
Yeah.
thinking, even if you have a podcast, usually your podcast will also be on YouTube. So like YouTube is like a kind of uber source of just content for so many people. And
Okay.
so I built out this scripting workflow where you would take a YouTube, just start with a YouTube link. And what you would do is you would download the video, convert it to audio, run the audio through Whisper transcription, and then
Okay.
take the transcription and stick a prompt on top that would
Okay.
say what you want the show notes to be. And then I would
Okay.
feed that whole thing to an LLM, first ChatGPT, and now I use Claude, and then I would copy
Okay.
paste back the response I got on top of the prompt. So then you would have the show notes and then the transcription all together. So I was just basically I was doing each of these steps kind of manually, and then
Okay.
eventually built up workflows where you could just give it a single command and it would get you all
Okay.
the way up to the point of having the prompt and the transcript. Now, just yesterday though, and I did this just for you, it's just for this stream. It's been thing that I've been getting all the pieces together to where what you really want is you want to be able to feed in a transcription service and
Okay.
an LLM API, so that literally you just give it, there's no manual steps whatsoever, it is actually fully automated. So you can just
Okay.
start from a YouTube link and then get everything generated for you right on the spot. And then all of a sudden you have this show notes. And it's like literally within a minute, you have this like SEO optimized thing for your
Wow.
audio or video content. So that was a very long description, but hopefully that all made sense.
No, it's all good. It's all good. Also, thanks Nate Codes for joining us today. met Nate at Render ATL last year. He's on mobile at the moment, but he was curious about the project, so he's
Cool, man. Thank you for
bookmarked
joining,
it.
Nate. Happy to see you here. It's been a while.
Um, yeah. So no, this sounds pretty cool. And this is like I think the way a lot of projects start, it's like
Hmm.
this thing's annoying me or I need, I've done these things, but it's become tedious. So like, you kind of scratch your own itch and boom. And so you've open sourced it for now. And uh I guess I'm curious, like we're definitely gonna do some live coding and see this in action. I'm curious, like, let's say, like, for example, like this stream is typically about an hour and a half when I have a guest. What would be like, say, the cost of that if I'm using my own like API keys and like there's a few services in here, like, so the transcription, there's different models, so like we've got an open AI API key and stuff, like, just I guess just to kind of gauge like what's a potential cost of this. uh I don't know if
Yeah,
you
no,
have like a
it's a
number for
really good
that.
question, and it's a extremely hard question to answer because once you so let me explain how the way it's set up right now. Because I started it where you could do everything locally. Originally, it there was no cost. So I first set the tool
Okay.
up in a way where as long as well, technically there was a cost depending on because I was using like I have a paid subscription to Claude and
Okay.
ChatGPT, so I would use just my monthly subscription and kind of like my own kind of limit to just feed it these show notes. But
Okay.
there's multiple trade offs. There's trade offs along the transcription route. So you can do the transcription totally for free on your own machine if you're okay figuring out how to download Whisper.cpp and build a base model and work with this whole C++ tool chain. That's not very
Okay.
portable. If you want to use a transcription service, you then have two different trade offs, which is there's varying models within the transcription services themselves that there's more
Okay.
expensive ones that are better and cheaper ones that are crappier. So you can get you can kind of try all the crappiest stuff, and this is where I haven't really done this yet, where I'm going to have to basically run like a 20 matrix benchmark where you're going to use
Okay.
different transcription services, different models of transcription servers offer, and then different LLMs, because then the LLMs also have the same trade-off where there's cheaper LLMs that can take more text for less money and go
Okay.
faster, but they'll give you worse outputs than the more expensive ones. So I had
Gotcha.
been using the best transcription I could get locally, which is basically as good as any of the paid services will give you at this point. Like Whisper, open source Whisper model is really, really freaking good. So if you can just run that on your
Okay.
machine, that's honestly the best thing to do. And then I always use the very best model I could get my hands on, which for a while has been ChatGPT. And then there's a case to be made for why Claude 3 Opus, I think, is probably the best one to use right now. But those, if you're
Okay.
using them through an API key, those can get pretty expensive. So you may end up
Okay.
spending like a couple dollars per episode. So not that crazy. But if you go
Okay.
the cheap route, you could get like you could do the transcription and the LLM part for like 5 to 10 cents for like an hour long episode. Like you can do it very, very cheap. It's just kind of a
Yeah.
question of like how good does this output need to be? And also, are you like publishing this output or are you going to run this on 100 episodes and then stick that all in a vector database so you can like query it? That's also an option. Then you can kind of go with a
Yeah.
slightly degraded version is you just want the raw like summaries in there even if they're written kind of
Okay.
awkwardly.
Yeah. And I guess putting in the vector database would be super helpful if you wanted to develop some kind of search over time, or like not necessarily embedding like a chat like experience in your website, but you could have something like that, like,
So that's what I showed you last time. So our last
yeah.
episode when we did the AI front end, that was I kind of did this in reverse where I was
Yeah.
showing you once I had already used that tool to generate some summaries for your episodes, we had
Yeah.
done that. Oh, and actually I wanted to share this with
I
you
got it here, I
in the
think.
Discord
Yeah.
beforehand. So I
Cool.
you said I had run them on your episodes where it was some of your guests, but you're like, oh, we should do this on our your co-working ones. So I just sent you two screenshots in the
Okay.
Discord. So what I did is I ran auto show on your last 10 co-working streams, basically
Okay.
over or not basically over the last month. I think over the course of May. And then gave those summaries to the llama index chatbot that we created, and then I asked it basically
Okay.
two things: the like what recent work has he been doing over this month, and then what still needs to be done. So you can read these and
Okay.
let me know if this actually makes sense for what you've been working on.
Yeah.
I'd be curious.
Yeah, so I shared one on the screen there so people watching the stream can catch it. So, Star Search feature enhancement. So that's a new feature we built out at open source using large language models and GitHub data. And yeah, I was debugging a carousel component. Yeah, that's right. Okay, yeah, I remember this episode. And then yeah, then there's the issues table. Yeah, no, that definitely checks out. And let me just copy the other one just so we can go take a peek. Yeah, finalize the implementation. I ended up getting busy with other stuff, so my coworker Zayu ended up doing it. But
But it was a
and
pending
then
task, so that's correct.
yeah, cool. Yeah, did some screen testing sizes and code cleanup. Yeah, no, this is I would say pretty accurate. So that's pretty cool. I
Yeah.
also
So
dropped in the
this is a whole different use case from what I was doing. I've been wanting to create, you know, summaries of like content, but for you, this is like a log of the work you've done and the work that still needs to be done. This is like
yeah
you're like having a meeting summarized for you, which is like an entirely separate use case that it can just kind of do because of the flexibility of
yeah
having an
yeah
LLM attached to this huge chunk of text.
Yeah, no, totally. I'm just dropping the our previous stream, just dropping it on YouTube and on just let me just drop it in chat here as well. Cool. Yeah, no, so yeah, if folks check that last one out too, because it ties into this, like Anthony was saying.
Yep.
And what's going on over here? Okay, cool. All right. Sorry, just checking out chat and stuff. It's a little I'm fine multitasking with the chat. The thing is, you can't like I'm using Restream, but even like StreamYard, you can't post messages to like Twitter yet or X. Like when you have a live stream, you have to go
Oh,
over there.
yeah. But what's funny is their messages now come in on Streamyard. So I just realized this because I was doing a stream yesterday. For the first time, someone commented on
Okay.
Twitter, and it came in
Yeah.
through Streamyard. And so I went into Twitter and responded in the chat through my own account.
Yeah, that's what I did. But like, yeah,
Yeah.
same for me. I'm using Restream, but I will see like LinkedIn messages or like Twitter or X. It's just you can't respond. And I'm guessing there's no API for that yet. Maybe that's exposed publicly. Maybe that's I'm
Yeah, I don't
assuming
think
that's why. But
StreamYard pipes in LinkedIn messages. I'm not sure. No one's watching.
okay,
Actually, that's not true. My sister watched me on LinkedIn once.
cool, cool. Okay,
And
so
so this is
yeah.
like also just to real quick, I want to talk about the open source
Oh
part
yeah,
of
yeah,
this and kind of my vision of where this could go, because it was really important for me that I wanted to build this tool out in an open source way. But honestly, like I ended up having multiple people in my life at various points in time as I was explaining it and like showing it to them and like using it. People were like, why aren't you charging for this? Like, why aren't you making this a product? Because I found a lot of people who found a lot of use for this in like weird, different kind of unique ways.
yeah.
So what I'm kind of thinking right now is there's going to be this open source repo, and this is always going to stay open source, and this will be basically like the base logic. So if anyone wants to
Okay,
do this and wants to generate this stuff totally for free, even with open source models, because the next step I need to do is integrate Llama CPP, so you can do the LLM
okay,
step locally as well. That's the one piece that's missing right now. But that'll all be
okay.
there, and then I'm going to build a front end that will allow basically non-tech savvy people who don't know how to clone down a repo and run a CLI will be able to
Yeah.
just input like a YouTube link on a form, click a button, pay however
Okay.
much, and they get it back right there in a UI. So that's where this is
Okay.
eventually going. So I think I can kind of still keep it as an open source thing that I get to work on in public, but then have a part of it that can be monetized in some way. So I've never built a product
Yeah.
before. We were talking about this kind of before, like SaaS and stuff like that. And
Yeah. Yeah.
it's really great. Like it's first, I've never really built a legit open source project. It's like I've done a lot of open source work. I contribute to open source frameworks and things like that. And that's something I've done
Yeah.
for
Yeah.
a long time. That was always me finding a cool project and kind of like glomming onto it, and finding interesting people who are doing cool work. This is the first thing I've built totally myself from the ground
Yeah.
up. as my own open source thing. It's got 8 stars right now, which is 8 more than any of my other repos. So that's pretty cool. And it was in the Node Weekly newsletter
Oh, cool,
for
man.
Peter Cooper puts out his whole slate of Cooper Press newsletters, and so he posted my blog post. I wrote a blog post 2 months ago that does the very first implementation of it. You should pull it up
Okay.
actually. Go to ajcwebdev.com,
Okay. There we go. It's already in my
and then
history.
just go to blog, and then the second most recent one. And so it's got similar titles to what this stream was titled. So
Cool.
this shows you everything up to the point of Whisper.cpp, and then using your own model if you just have a subscription on like ChatGPT or Claude. This does
Okay.
not include any of the transcription services APIs or LLM APIs that we're going to go through today. That's going to be a whole separate blog post. This is how
Okay.
you do this entirely locally. And then what we're going to do today in our demo is going to be how do you do this with services that you're paying for.
Okay. Yeah, I was curious too, like you want this to be a paid product, obviously, but still keeping it open source. Are you thinking it's gonna be like a website, or are you thinking of like making a small app instead, like a desktop app wrapped in like Tori or like
The first thing would
Electron
be just
or
a well, the first thing would be just a website because I've never even built a desktop app or a mobile app. So like I just
okay.
would want to start with what I already know how to do, which would be
Yeah, yeah.
a straight up static website with some Jamstacky stuff that will hit a Stripe API, and that's going to
Okay.
be the whole deal. And maybe integrate a database just so people can like save their summaries. But
Okay.
I would go real simple, just website dashboard, kind of like almost single page app type thing with like some very basic login and payment mechanisms. That's what I'm currently
Yeah.
thinking, at least. I haven't built any of this stuff yet. Right now I'm integrating the APIs and the paid services and kind of figuring
Yeah.
out like how much do I even need to charge for this? Like if I'm exposing these different
Yeah.
services to people, they'll need to pay the different models. I'll need to calculate based on how much stuff they give me, what it's going to cost so that I can cover margins and can still make a profit because I'm going to be paying for the API
Yeah.
costs if I'm feeding it to these servers. So there's like all this stuff to figure out still. But
Yeah.
this is
Yeah.
kind of where I'm at right now, and so it has a lot of
Okay.
functionality open source wise, but building it into a product. And this is what my wife has been talking to me about this.
Yeah.
She's like, how long would it take you to make it a subscription service? I'm just like 3 months. like it's gonna take a while, you know.
Yeah. No, no, I feel you. But no, that's super cool, and I think I think it's gonna be useful. Like, I mean, you've already shown me some of this before. Like, I haven't like actually dug into the code yet because I only cloned the repo today. But
Mhm.
I could definitely see this being super useful as a content creator. So yeah, cool. So what do you want to do now? Do you want to just kind of I've cloned the repo. I've set up the environment variables for the API keys.
Let's open it up in VS Code. And then what I'm gonna have you do first, this shouldn't take too long, is I'm gonna have you clone down Whisper CPP and just build the base model, which is kind of
Okay.
crappy, but should only take about a minute or so for you to
Okay.
build. And all these instructions will be in the README.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. Let me open the README then. README. Good old preview. Cool.
Yeah,
Okay.
so let's
Install
just scroll
local.
down to yeah. So do you already have those two installed on Brew? I'm sure you got FFmpeg,
Um,
but do you have
I'm
yt-dlp?
I'm pretty sure I do, but let me just run it just in case, and
Yeah.
while that's going on, we can chat a bit.
Mhm.
The
And
okay.
then the
So
npm I that's installing. Actually, go to the package.json so people can see
okay.
what some of the dependencies are here. So it
Okay.
includes SDKs for two LLMs, OpenAI and Anthropic's Claude, and then
Okay.
two transcription services, which is DeepGram and Assembly AI.
Okay.
And then it's got Node Llama CBP in there. That doesn't actually do anything yet. I haven't written that code, but eventually
Okay.
it's going to be able to reach out to a local LLM. And then
Okay.
Commander JS. You know Commander JS?
Yeah. Yeah, that's for just building CLIs, right?
Yeah. So you technically
Okay.
ran two commands at once. You ran the brewer command, and then you had npm I after it.
Yeah. Okay, it looks like
Try
it looks
try
like brew
npmi
did
just by
not learn.
itself.
Yeah. I'm just looking at the brew error, no such file or
Oh wait,
oh yeah.
you're not in the right place.
Oh, son of a yeah, sorry.
Yeah.
Uh let me go up one, auto show. Oh, yeah,
I just saw
that would
Anthony
make
AI in
sense.
there.
Cool,
Great.
cool.
Yeah, that'll work.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then go back to the package.json real quick. There's just one other dependency I want to explain real quick. The fast
Yeah.
XML parser. That
Okay.
is something I also just built here recently, where now you can feed it a podcast RSS feed because it's previously
Okay.
just been working totally with YouTube links. But now, if you
Okay.
have a podcast RSS feed or just an RSS feed at all with audio, it will now run this whole process on that. So I
Oh, cool.
first created this for FS Jam actually, and then I went through all these different steps to like build something with YouTube eventually. But now I can just run it, and I'm gonna be able to run this on all 95 previous
Okay.
FS Jam episodes.
All right. Let me clone Whisper here. So I'm just gonna.
So you want to clone it inside of Auto Show?
Oh, okay, okay.
Yes.
What's the reason for that? Just out of curiosity.
It's just because of the way it's a node script that's calling out to multiple things on your machine, one of which is going to be yt-dlp and one of it's going to be this whisper thing. So this just allows the path and the main command and the stuff to all kind of be in the right place. This is also why
Okay.
working with Whisper.cpp is the most complicated devy kind of way of doing this. Most people are not going to do this. They're going to use the
Okay.
services. So
Gotcha.
you want to
Okay.
just this entire time you just want to stay in the base directory as you're running these commands.
Okay. Cool. I'm just gonna run them one at a time, just so we can see things happening here.
Yeah, but
Boom.
you're already not in the right place because
Oh, son of
you
a.
went into Whisper CPP. So just stay in
You,
auto show.
you literally told me what to do, and I'm like, yeah,
Well,
I hear
I
you.
saw you had already done that after I told you. So that's one of the reasons why I brought it up. So
Cool, cool. All right, so let's go
okay,
ahead
so what
and
that did,
make.
this built the simplest, smallest model, which is the base model. And if you
Okay,
really want to get a good transcription, you want one in the large model, but the large model takes 7 minutes to download, and then when you run it on an episode, it'll take like 5 to 10 minutes for an hour-long episode. This is gonna
okay,
let us just run this on something real. So actually, I hadn't picked a video real quick. I'm just gonna go on your YouTube and I'm gonna find a video you have that's like 10 minutes or so.
there's
Perfect. So solid JS and solid
yeah,
star explainer. That's what I want. That's gonna be
okay,
perfect.
cool.
So I'm gonna give you this link,
All right, I'll
and
just
once
grab
the
that out of
make command
Discord.
is done, then you can run this, and you're gonna run it on the very first command in the section where it gives you all of the node commands. So run
Okay,
autogen node scripts. The very first one is going to be node autogen.sh dash dash video. So because this is
okay,
a CLI, there's a video flag where you feed a YouTube video, a playlist flag where you feed a YouTube playlist, a
okay,
URLs flag where you just give it a general list of URLs in a file, and then RSS flag if you want to run it on RSS feed.
okay. So got the link for the video up top there with Attila, and okay, yeah, and you were saying
So
you
that
can
should
run it on
work. Yeah.
multiple. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
so let's just let me stretch this up so we can get some more real estate here. Okay,
And it's going to
so
go through a couple steps, and
okay,
it's going to print out each, it's going to log each thing as it's going. So the first thing it's going to do is it's going to download a wave file. So it's going to take this YouTube video and it's going to extract the audio. And actually,
okay,
sorry, first it builds a markdown file with the metadata from the YouTube video. So it
okay.
takes the, oh,
Oh,
something
we
broke.
got a compiler. Let's see what happens. Also, just want to say hey to B1 Mine in the chat there. Thanks for joining us.
Oh, I know what
Okay,
happened.
okay,
I gave it to you with the default, which is to use the large model. So
okay,
bump up the command again and give it a flag for dash m and then base.
like
Yeah.
that.
So this is so this is a flag that lets you configure the size of the Whisper model you're using.
Okay, so
So
let's run this again.
this should work this time.
Cool, cool. And
And so
to be
there's
clear,
base, medium, and large are the three things you can pass the M flag. And
okay.
the command you first ran where you built the base model, you need to make sure you build the right one for that. So now we got the wave file this time.
Oh, okay. I understand. Okay, I see what you mean. We didn't compile like the large model, so like it's not
Yes.
gonna okay,
Yeah,
gotcha.
so it didn't know
Yeah.
what to do because it looked for the large model is 3 gigabytes. So that's why it would take a while to download. The base model is like 100 megabytes or something. So it looks into
Cool.
the Whisper, and this is why the Whisper CPP needs to be inside of this repo because it's basically calling out to a model that's within the Whisper CPP repo. So that looks like everything
Okay.
worked. It says process completed successfully for URL, prompt concatenated to transform successfully. So the content /2024 05 05, that's the date followed by the ID of the video because every YouTube video has a unique video ID.
Okay.
So you should be able to now go to the content directory and find this.
Okay. So let's open this up here. Okay. So here we go. So this generated the markdown. So we've got this is this is some info about it. And then we've got the transcript with
Yeah, and
timestamps and
And
okay.
so this is the whole prompt. So you should read out the prompt and like what it's actually doing. So it's
Okay.
creating a one sentence summary, a one paragraph summary, and then the chapters. So this doesn't give
Okay.
you suggested titles and it doesn't give you key takeaways. Those are there's I'm eventually going to have a prompt flag that's going to let you decide what you want to be included in the
Okay.
prompt. But right now it just kind of gives you this. And if you want to tweak it, you can go in there and just like change stuff. Like if you want the
Okay.
chapters, I say the chapters shouldn't be shorter than 1 or 2 minutes or longer than 5 or 6 minutes. And it doesn't always follow that exactly. But if you wanted
Okay.
to have the chapters be 15 to 20 minutes, you could do that.
Okay. Yeah.
And then you
Yeah.
give
I've
it
been
the actual output. And I have it create a markdown file with headers.
okay. Yeah. No, that's cool. Yeah. Yeah. I was reading about this the other day. I'm taking the learning. I think it's learningprompt.org, and they're
Hmm.
talking about this is like a one shot. So you're putting an example in to just make it very clear
Yeah,
how you want the
in
output.
context learning is the fancy
Yeah.
term for it. Let's do
Okay.
this. I'm sure you have a chat GPT subscription.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
this is how I used to do things. I'm going to show you what I've been doing for months and months and months, and then
Okay.
we'll show the cool how we can automate this. So just copy paste that entire file, dump it in a ChatGPT, and hit enter. Don't modify at all. Just copy
Okay.
paste literally a whole thing and give it to ChatGPT 4.0.
Okay. So let's do this. Let me load it up. Okay. Cool. Literally copy this whole file.
And the entire file, every single part of it, every word. Yep.
Okay. All right. Let's bump this up a bit and let's paste it in. Boom.
And what's cool
Okay.
is this will work up to like a 2 hour long episode. And ChatGPT used to crap out after very small amount of time. You have to
Okay.
make that a lot bigger for people to read it, but
Yeah.
you should actually copy paste that into like your okay. So yes, now let's just hit copy code
Yeah.
and then go back to the markdown file you had and copy
Okay.
paste that over the prompt. So leave the transcript, but copy it over the
Okay.
prompt, and then leave the front matter as well.
Okay. So the prompt, which part of the prompt or this whole thing
All
here,
the
like
whole
the rut?
prompt, the even
Oh.
where it
Oh.
says this the transcript, the entire every
Okay.
part of the prompt. Yeah. Hmm.
Okay. Including the example too, right? Okay.
Yep, including transcript attached, all of it.
Cool. All right.
Yep. And so now, so get row transcript attached also
Oh yeah.
because
Sorry.
there's yeah. So then you see how the output fits on top. So now it's just like this itself could be a web page. So look at
Okay. Yeah.
this
I gotcha.
in your preview mode so we can see it with
Yeah.
the mock down. Yeah.
Okay. So
Here
we
you
got
go. So
summary
this is now
chapters. Okay.
the episode.
Okay. No, that's pretty cool, man. And obviously this is formatted, but it's just a preview. So like obviously, if
Yeah,
you're
you
using
can
like
fix that if you add two spaces at the end of each line or like
yeah.
double space it. That's one thing that always bugs me. That's something I need to fix in the scripting workflow.
Okay. But yeah, and then yeah, you can surface this with like whether you like pop in an Astro site or just like use Remark or whatever you want in the front end there. No, this is super
Yeah, I
cool.
have actually I did this with Ben Holmes when I showed him this tool. I built out actually an Astro website with a content collection that matches the front matter, because then you could
Okay.
just dump it directly in. I think that that repo is also public. It's Astro Autogen, I think is what it's called.
Okay.
This is before I
But
started calling it Auto Show.
okay, so that, but I think this is pretty cool, and it's like pretty accurate. Like there's always like the classic. There's some spelling mistakes, like it's Crab Nebula, but this
Mhm.
is like a company name. So
It struggles with Nikki T online. Sometimes they'll say Nikki like Nikkie or Nikki. So
yeah,
those are some things. There's ways to mitigate that. Whisper itself actually includes, and this is, and remember we use the base with, so this is with the worst transcription model that we could be using right now actually.
yeah,
So the fact that it has anything at all that's readable is actually incredible, because
yeah.
I would run the large model, and this would have taken 5 times as long. It uses
Okay,
Delve.
yeah. Sorry, I had to call that out.
That's funny. You could put in
But
the
this is
prompt,
super
"Don't
cool.
use the word delve" if you wanted
Yeah,
to.
yeah. I'm just thinking about this like obviously this is useful for for like a content creator for sure. Like you even once you productize it.
Hmm.
But I'm already thinking of use cases like imagine I have like a website, which most people probably will, that are doing content creation. Like I could picture a workflow where using the GitHub CLI, I create a pull request from like new episode generated, boom. You get a deploy preview with like a PR, and then then you can like check it out, and then you can like definitely do some cleanup if you need to, like maybe you don't like some of the formatting, but or you get the spelling mistakes like the crab Nabila here, for example. Um,
Hmm.
but I could totally see that as a workflow because like because like right now I have a workflow in not on Nikki T Live, but like that's just pulling in YouTube content and like I have my schedule from Airtable. That's how that works. But like um my blog, I use Dev2 as like a headless CMS, and whenever I make a
Hmm.
change, there's no webhooks on Dev2. They removed them years ago, and I can't remember the reason why, but
Because they're
basically
probably hard to maintain.
well, yeah, I guess so, yeah. But basically I pull like once a night, and they have an API, so like I just grab all my blog posts and anything that changes, it
Hmm.
basically updates the repo, and then so like my PR just shows the differences, and then as long as the deploy preview and like all the checks pass, I auto merge it. So like I could see maybe not necessarily auto merging because like you might want to review this obviously,
Hmm.
but like I could totally see that as a workflow, that's I think kind of maybe out of the scope of your
No, I
future
think that's
product,
this is all,
but
that's completely in scope, and that's something that I would want. And this is the
yeah,
thing. The whole point of this is automation. Automate as
yeah,
much as possible, because when you're a solo content creator, and especially if you're someone who's not actually like making any money on it, because like I did
yeah,
FSGM just as like a labor of love, and to like make connections in the industry, and to like keep myself sharp and like learn, and like I had all these reasons for
yeah,
doing it. We never made a single dollar. So you
yeah,
really gotta be able to do everything you can to save time. And
yeah,
once you can start to leverage these higher level AI tools, like the possibilities just completely open up. And so this, I love
yeah,
what you're suggesting right now. This is like right in line with the whole
yeah.
mission of the project.
And like I have the code to do this already, so feel free to poach it. But basically like the
You
only thing
drop that
that's
in
missing
Our Discord chat, so I don't lose it.
yeah. Yeah. So there's two parts here. I know it's not your project you're talking about now, but I can just show
No, this
you
is
kind
great.
of
I
what I
love
do.
this.
There's that, and there's so like I have a few things, but like so I generate my dev2 post. So this is basically I probably don't need .env anymore with Node 20, but anyways,
Right,
or
you
is it
don't.
Node 22? But essentially I'm hitting the dev2 API here, and then uh, basically any changes that are there at the end. Oh yeah, this is just the node script that runs. I can. This isn't really relevant to you because your thing would just be hitting your API, but
Yeah, I wouldn't be
basically,
using the Dev 2
yeah.
stuff. Yeah.
But there's things because I've done this over and over, and because this is something I had to do at Netlify. I had to sync. sanity with like a repo, a JSON file, because like, for example, like Netlify has all these partners with like integrations and stuff. So like Sanity, Cloudinary and stuff, and Sanity is supposed to be the source of truth. So like for example, like if Cloudinary updates their I don't know, their SDK, they're gonna update it in Sanity, but that needs to be propagated to the repo because we use that repo for building things in Netlify. Well, when I worked there. So, anyways,
Hmm.
I kind of I did this whole flow of like how can I auto merge things, because you have to change some of the policies on the project because you have to allow for auto merging. But
Hmm.
basically, you generate. I just basically take a timestamp to generate like all the PR information. So I create a title, and then the branch name, because it could happen like it's gonna be the same branch all the time. So I just put a date stamp in it so it's a unique branch. I switch to that branch, and then after that I run a git add, and like this is after my script is run because there's a GitHub action that does these things. So like the GitHub action runs and it says, "Okay, generate my dev2 posts in the current branch," and then this just does a git add everything. And if there's nothing to change, so there's a check here. I got this. I forget where I found this, but basically, if there is a change, then we commit it. Otherwise, I just say there was nothing to update because like all the content got updated. But if there's like literally no changes, it's when you do git add, there's gonna be nothing staged. So and essentially there, I'm just leveraging Git and the GitHub CLI here, so you can say, and this is stuff I learned about like about a year and a half ago, but you can create PRs with the GitHub CLI. So I'm passing like the title and then like a just a body to say this is an automated PR, but and then after that you can actually call the GitHub CLI to merge it. This is like auto merge here, and then delete the branch automatically once it's done, and also squash it. And it's a workflow I use all the time now, and it's like in the event that one day if dev2 ever disappears, I'll have to change things up. But right now, it's like I just go blog on dev2, and then once a night, my site just goes and runs that GitHub action. And so it's like I never have to do anything for my blog unless I'm updating like other parts of it that aren't the actual content. So yeah. Anyways,
Man, I lived
definitely
that
steal
Dev 2
this.
life for like 2
Yeah.
years, and I was like all into Dev 2. I did all my blogging through Dev 2, and then I took a brief detour into hash node, and then there's
Okay. Yeah.
things I didn't like about it that Dev 2 had, but a couple things they had that Dev 2 didn't. And then it was like I
Okay.
was ruined and I had to build my own blog. So there's no way I could get the features I wanted from both any other way.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, no, I hear you. Yeah, no, I mean, I'm biased because I used to work at Dev too, but there's definitely compelling features in Hashnode. Like they've got an AI component to it now. I like that they generate a table of contents. I don't know why Dev 2 doesn't do that still, but
That was the big one. Yeah, that was a big.
yeah,
It was that, and then just the styling just looked nicer. It looked more modern. It looked more like a newer
yeah,
kind of blog. But the blog I have now actually looks more like a Dev 2 post. I kind of went back to like
okay,
that really old school kind of markdown look. But we're way
yeah,
off
yeah,
track. We should actually look
yeah,
at some of the code that
yeah,
we
yeah. It's
ran
okay.
when
It's
we
not
did
to be
that
clear.
command.
It's the yeah. To be clear, it's not just magic. Anthony
Yeah,
didn't just wave his hands and poof, we got things working. Okay, so
yeah.
let me close the content here, and yeah, I guess yeah, we'll look at the
Let's
code and
start. Let's
why don't
start at the
we?
root. Let's
Yeah,
go to autogen.sh, which
okay,
needs to be renamed to AutoShow because I used to call this project AutoGen. So sorry, not
okay,
.sh, .js. This
okay,
started as a Bash script that then turned into a Node script. The Bash script is going to be phased out eventually, so let's
okay,
not even look at that. Let's just look at the Node stuff.
okay. You could probably
This is
use
the
the
sorry,
bun
this is the
shell.
Bash one right now. So
Oh yeah,
so
sorry.
close this file and go to autogen.js.
Cool. All right,
There we go.
here we go.
So what this is Commander, and right here this is kind of like the closest thing to like just a docs if you want to see everything the CLI does. That's actually it's very readable. So we've
Yeah,
got a video flag. This I kind of walk through some of this already to process a single YouTube video. A playlist flag if you have a playlist of YouTube videos. URLs if
yeah,
you want to just pick a bunch of YouTube videos just from the ether and put them in a file and just run it on that. And then
yeah, yeah.
RSS, which will feed an RSS feed. Then the model flag lets you select different size models, and you see at the end there it says large. So that's a default. So that's why when we first ran the command, it broke because you didn't build the large model and it tried to run that because we didn't give it a flag. So
Yeah.
that's really important. And then we have two flags for LLMs, one for ChatGPT, one for Claude, and then two flags for transcription ones. We haven't done that step yet, but that was the next thing we're going to show once we explain some of this code.
Yeah. Oh,
And we
hey,
got Fuzzy Bear here.
Fuzzy Bear is in the chat. How you doing, Fuzzy
Fuzzy
man?
Bear has heard me talk about this a bunch. He's been watching my weekly streams I've been doing with Monarch
Oh,
as I've
cool.
been building this out, actually. So he knows all about this project.
Cool, cool. I was gonna say one thing I was thinking about because when we ran into that error, I know you knew what the error was right away, but
hmm
I wonder if you could improve it so like before you run like oh you haven't compiled. Well, I guess maybe because you're gonna
Yes,
productize
there's
this, it might not be
there's gonna be a
necessary,
lot of
but
yeah, there's a lot of error handling that can be done. There's a lot of ways to make this a lot nicer, and this is why I'm sharing this with people and trying to get some other eyes to help QA it
yeah,
because yeah,
yeah,
like I've been building out this whole thing just with ChatGPT actually because I'd never built like a big ass node scripting project. I've never even used Commander before, so
okay,
I'm learning a lot as I'm going, and error handling is something that I'm always kind of coming back to and trying to improve.
yeah.
So then it
Fuzzy,
sorry.
I was just
Oh
gonna say
yeah.
Fuzzy Bear is making me misty. He's like, great to see you guys. I was like, I'm not crying, you're crying. Anyways,
Yeah, no,
yeah. So
got some
sorry, go on.
good
So you got all
homies in
the
the chat.
options here. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah, so that is just like checking to see this is just kind of logic, and there's gonna be a way to make this cleaner, I'm sure. But right now this is the base, and now go to the commands folder and the
yeah.
process video.js file.
All right,
Yeah.
cool. All
Yeah.
right,
So this is doing the heavy lifting. This is what is processing the video. And for things like the playlist, there's also going to be a file for process playlist. It basically just runs this a whole bunch of times on a bunch of videos in a playlist. So this is kind of like this is really the core logic right here.
okay, cool, cool,
So
cool.
can you actually zoom out just one bit so I
Yeah.
can kind of see a
Oh, I'm
little
zooming in something
wider.
else. There we go.
That's this is yeah,
Cool.
that's the perfect size for me. So yeah, you get the process video and these like all the different things you can pass in. It takes the URL, the model, and then whether you want to use an LLM or not. The
Okay.
MD content is where it's creating the markdown. So what
Okay.
that is doing is that's using yt-dlp, and this is something that I may, if I'm eventually going to want to publish this as an npm package. I'm not sure how
Yeah.
well yt-dlp is going to play with that because it's technically a Python tool. That's why you have to
Yeah.
brew install it. But anyway, that gets you the link for the episode, the name of the channel, the URL to the channel, the title of the video, the date the video is published, and then the thumbnail.
Okay. Yeah. No, this is cool, man. I'm just thinking like you're talking about error handling and stuff. I
hmm
hung out with Mike Arnaldi on Monday, who's the creator of the Effect TypeScript library, aka
hmm
the missing standard library for TypeScripted JavaScript, as they call
Everyone's
it.
talking about effect, man. Yeah, I need
Yeah.
to. I was thinking about asking Dev to come on to my stream and explain it to
Yeah.
me. 'Cause, I'm not a
It,
TypeScript person, so I have no freaking clue.
yeah. No, I was gonna say, yeah, I was gonna say like we could if you want we could go through. I'm still very brand new to Effect, but like it was pretty interesting. Like basically there's like some patterns that are more like from say like Rust. So like you never actually like you can have errors happen, but basically there's like exceptions that you're expecting. Like for example, like say you hit the API and I don't know, there's a network error, so you can like
Mhm,
add in retries and stuff, and then like so basically, and this is all like in the standard library of effect already, and then there's like I don't know, say you retry like 5 times, and then after the fifth time, it's just not happening. Then you can actually say like effect dot or die, which basically means like okay, like
mhm,
it's really like we can't do anything here, and like I think it could be an interesting uh project to just try using it with like
mhm,
I don't know. I might look into I mean I've cloned this. I might throw up exploratory PR just to see. I don't know, cause
Word.
cause yeah, cause this is definitely interesting to me as well. Because like we were talking before the stream, you know, we're our team's slowly becoming all AI engineers, and this is definitely
Yeah, man.
relevant.
This is the
So
stuff.
as a, you know, so but yeah. Anyways, okay, so we process the video, then we just write the file, the markdown, and cool. Yeah, it's yeah okay, and then deepgram here. Yeah, I guess talk about the transcription. So
Yeah, so
you
this is where, so
basically
look where it says whisper.cpp/main. This is the part where that it will need to reach out to your local Whisper. So if you didn't clone down Whisper and didn't build a model, you could use the deep grammar assembly flags and run the transcription
okay
through them. And that's what we're going to do next is show how to do that, and then also feed then the transcription to an LLM directly, so we don't have to do the step we did where we copy pasted it into a chat bot. So I gave you two commands in the Discord. These are both going to use Claude, but one's going to use DeepGram and one's going to use Assembly AI. And these are I'm just kind of
okay.
curious to see how they're going to compare to each other.
Do you want me to run
Then
them in parallel
so
or just
just
one?
run the first one, and then we're gonna
Okay.
have to rename a file after we do it, or we're gonna get a name clash because it's not really meant to.
All right.
You're kind of just meant to just pick one and do it and get your output right now. So we
Okay.
have now we're passing it .env. So we're talking about how you don't need .env anymore. That's because you can do the dash dash env dash file equals
Yeah.
.env. Super obnoxious syntax. I always forget it.
Yeah. Yeah.
But then you're passing it the deepgram flag and the Claude flag, and you already have your API keys in here for deepgram and Claude. So for people who want to follow along
Yeah.
at home, you have to get API keys. You may have to pay a couple bucks for like some credits. Deepgram
Yeah.
gives you $200 of credit right off the bat, but then I think it expires at some point, which is why you probably didn't have any anymore.
Yeah. Because when my coworker Becca was
Unless you
working
ran
there,
$200 of transcription already.
yeah, yeah, I don't think I did. I think I did a stream with her when she was working there, and then like that was like more than a year ago, so it definitely expired, I'm sure. Okay,
Okay, great.
so it looks
Pretty
like it
sure this
ran
works.
successfully. Yeah.
So it shows it in the output there, but let's just go to the files it created. So go back to content again.
Yeah. Okay. Oh yeah, it's not going to be in the project. Hold on. Content. Okay, so we got the
Yep.
Claude one here. Okay.
Yep. So now we see how this did everything all at once. It started with it ran the transcript, and you can see the transcript is the other file that was created. And that might actually hopefully it overwrote the one you or
Okay.
actually look at your other file really quick just so I can see what happened here. Yeah,
Yeah.
this one. So okay, so this is
So this
okay.
didn't
So
add the
it did.
meta.
So this overwrote the one we had previously.
Okay. Gotcha.
Yeah, which is
Okay.
okay.
Cool.
But so that's why I was saying we should. So scroll down a little bit
Yeah.
so I can see the transcript on this one. In the scroll down in the file. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So this is the transcript that was created with DeepGram, not with Whisper.cpp. I'm pretty sure.
Okay.
And then it took this whole thing and then fed it to Claude, and then that's where the show notes in the other file came from.
Okay. Fuzzy in the chat saying, "Can I see the exec sync method?" He's suggesting using Google ZX. Here it is,
I,
Fuzzy.
I have heard of ZX. I've also heard of Exica. Do you know about Exica,
Yeah,
Fuzzy?
it's
Should I
from
use Exica or
Syndra.
ZX?
Yeah, Syndra. Another package from Syndra.
Yeah,
Is that how you say
this
his
has
name?
been my problem is whether I use Exica or the thing you're telling me about right now. So I need to make a decision.
Yeah. Cool. Cool. Yeah.
Yeah, that's
Okay.
I appreciate the input, Fuzzy. I have heard of this. I have been told something similar by the internet's collective unconsciousness as I've been building out this tool. So yeah,
Cool.
if you know anything about Exica, I'd be curious if you're familiar with it. Otherwise, I might just go with
Cool.
go with
All
the
right. So
Google
let's
one.
try the assembly AI one now.
And real quick, save
Yeah.
those two files. Just drag them to like the root of your project. That's one kind of quick and
Okay.
dirty way to get these out of the blast radius. And this is
Yeah, yeah,
more error handling I need to, so when it's generating stuff, it's not gonna just like overwrite files you already have. Is why a lot of
yeah,
things are
yeah.
still kind of quick and dirty right now.
Cool. All right. All right.
You know.
So we'll run the, what is it? Okay, this has got assembly now.
Yep. So that's the only thing
And
that's different. It's still gonna feed it to the Claude LLM, and
okay,
it's using assembly AI. Why don't we real quick, just so people get some context, pull up like DeepGram and Assembly's home pages.
okay. I'll let that run in the background, but
So you
all right.
already had a DeepGram account. So have you tried it? Did you ever actually use it?
I did it in that stream like I was talking about. I think the stream we did, I'd have to check. We were working on, oh yeah, I think we were working on fixing the DeepGram browser extension, which could actually do transcription, I think. I think that's what we were
Like
doing.
real, like live transcription?
Yeah, I think that's what it was,
That's interesting.
or
That's
no, it
what we
was,
were talking about before the
yeah,
stream.
yeah. Um, okay, so there's that, and what was the other site you wanted me to load up?
Assembly AI.
Okay.
This is the new. This is the hot newness. The one that has all the money and all the funding.
Oh, site not found.
Just Google Assembly AI. Whatever you landed on is
Yeah.
not their actual
Yeah,
website.
site not found. Oh, assemblyai.com. That makes sense. .com is where it's at.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
So this is when you're looking for transcription services. This is like you know how like with vector databases, there's Pinecone, there's everyone else, or
Yeah.
it's the same thing in the crypto world. There was Alchemy, and then everyone else. So this is the thing everyone's using now. Allegedly, I kind of like DeepGram a
Okay.
little bit more personally, but this seems to have the most funding and momentum behind it, which
Okay.
take that for what it's worth. Obviously, try 'em both out.
Yeah.
I recommend. There's another one I tried out, Speechmatic.
Okay.
That one was Speechmatic wasn't bad, but it didn't have anywhere near the level of features and documentation that
Okay.
Assembly DeepGround had. It was pretty night and day. So I decided to
Yeah.
just stick with these two, build out those integrations, and then I'm probably going to just keep it that way and then expand out more into the LLM world because I want to give more open source models, not just Claude and ChatGPT, and then I want to add Cohere. I want to add Gemini. I want to add a whole bunch of more models. So that's probably the direction I'll go. I think I'm just going to stick with these two transcription services for now. Because me personally,
Okay.
I'm not going to use either of these guys. I'm going to keep using Whisper.cpp on my own
Okay.
machine, but that's just not really feasible for a lot of people.
Yeah. I'm wondering, like, if you were to use, I'm thinking of like you building the actual product now, like with the website and stuff.
Mhm.
Like, I guess, I guess it wouldn't make sense to put that in assembly, the Whisper CPP, because it's not like you would fire it off and then I guess there'd be some background job and
Well,
then it would let
you
them know when it's done or
there is a way in which I can spin up a server that will just run Whisper CPP, and I can use that as my own transcription API endpoint. That is a thing that I'm gonna probably pursue and try out. I'm not sure if that's what you're suggesting or not, but that's one way where you're gonna be able to kind of have that available without needing it locally, and I can still kind of manage the cost of that in my own way.
yeah.
If I just have a DigitalOcean droplet like running that, you can just run transcriptions forever. Like I might end up trying that out and see how that works.
Okay. Yeah. No, but this is pretty cool. Like, and again, this is like super useful. Like, uh, because part of the thing is like, I know DevRel's kind of up and down right now, but like one thing, like, because I've talked, I know you know B Dougie as well, my CEO. I always
I
find
was
it
looking
funny to
at
call
oh,
him.
I was looking at the open source page actually and saw you have a lot of videos you could use this on.
Yeah. No, I might take it for a spin there, but like it the thing I was gonna say is like uh B Dougie's all about like in DevRel like you've got to create content and one
Hmm.
thing to do there and it's what you're doing here is like repurposing the content like
Yep.
you did a
Hmm.
podcast or you did a live stream like we're doing now like it makes sense to convert this into a blog post or like I've done it kind of I was using what was it called sorry Descript for a while I use it
Yeah.
occasionally now
Descript. Yeah. Hmm.
yeah, like because what I used to do, I used it for creating podcast episodes. But honestly, my podcast, I haven't basically pulled in any new episodes in about a year because it's kind of intensive for me to edit them, and I'm almost wondering if I should just put them raw and just leave it like that. Like it's not like
It's the
I'm
way to
running
go, man.
Syntax FM or something.
This is why I really like live streaming, like stuff like this. Like we just go at the end. There's a huge chunk of content. It is what it is. Like
Yeah,
I got crazy with editing FSJam. I used to spend like 10 hours editing FSJam episodes. It was absolutely
yeah,
absurd.
yeah. No, that's the thing, and like part of the reason why I stream, it's not because I'm lazy. It's just for me, it's like like it's encouraged at work. You don't have to, obviously, but like I was doing this before I was working there, but I like it because I only have so much time in the week to do something like this. So like I would like to do like polished YouTube content at some point, but in my
Mhm,
own schedule right now, it's just not in the cards, you know what I mean? Like because
mhm.
even like a 5 minute video in YouTube could take forever. Like, I mean obviously like the bigger streamers like Primogen or Theo, they've got their own editors and stuff, so it's not them doing
Sure,
it,
yeah.
but
Mhm,
like
yeah.
if I were to do that, like it's just I just don't have time right now, so that's why I appreciate the live streams and like, you know, I'll definitely now that I stream to multiple platforms, 'cause I tried streaming to multiple platforms about a year and a half ago, and then I ran into something where I was using Restream and it didn't I think I was streaming with Mike from Ionic Mike H. What's his last name? It's escaping me. Anyways, I started the stream with him, and then like something went wrong. And when you have a stream key for like a live event,
Harrington or
yeah,
Hardington?
Harrington, thank you. Yeah, Hardington, yeah, that's it.
Hardington.
Um, but when you have a live stream like this, like if something went wrong with the stream, I can't restart it because it's live already.
Uh-huh.
So basically, I got kind of turned off from the multi-platform stuff from that because it happened a couple times, but now it seems to be stable, and I don't know, I think I just maybe have a better setup. So like I used to edit the YouTube videos before I would upload it to YouTube, and now I just
Mhm.
don't because like I'm streaming to YouTube as well right now, and it's also like a bit of better quality of life for me because I'm not editing anything now, it's just up there. But again, getting back to the editing, like uh, I guess one question I have, because like something like Descript has, which is a neat feature, but it doesn't work well all the time for speech, is like taking out the ums and the ahs, and like they have an auto remove feature. And I noticed because at first I was like, oh, I'm just gonna do that for like a podcast episode, and it's not bad, but in some cases it'll make like blips and stuff, and like so when somebody's speaking, it just sounds unnatural.
Mhm.
But what I was getting at in my my long-winded story there was like for the transcription part, like does something like DeepGram or Assembly AI get rid of the ums and the ahs in the transcript? Because like obviously it wouldn't affect the reading,
So they're highly configurable. One of the configurations is to remove filler words. I think both of them offer
Okay,
that. This is one of the reasons why I ended up throwing out Speechify or the speech Speechmatic. I always forget their name
okay,
because there's all this stuff that those two offer. Like they can cut out filler words. You can feed
yeah,
them a bank of words ahead of time, so it will know how to spell things that it might trip over. You can
okay,
configure punctuation. There's a whole bunch of stuff you can do. So right now I haven't really kind of gone down that rabbit hole yet because
okay,
for my purpose, because you really just need a huge chunk of text to feed to an LLM, and even if there's like
yeah,
no punctuation whatsoever, like the LLM doesn't give a crap. Like it's just
yeah, yeah,
gonna
yeah,
read the thing and extract the raw data of what's happening, and it can do that with very
yeah,
little human type markings that you would need to actually like make something readable. So
yeah, totally,
but if I want the transcription to be something that would be like nice and readable afterwards, this is where
yeah,
these services give you a lot of power in that respect.
yeah. I'm just you don't need to stare at the screen share right now because I'm looking at us on the screen because I put us back to
Sure.
the just the
Makes
talking
sense.
view. But um, this is again like just to reiterate. So you open sourced it, which I think is super cool. this is actually useful. Like, yeah, I know sometimes people just create projects just to, do something. This is something that I'm terrible at. I can't remember if I was mentioning this before the stream, but like a lot of times I'm terrible at coming up with a good idea, so I tend to latch on to like I find this project interesting, I'm gonna go help that project or
Hmm.
contribute to it. You know, and I don't know. I've cloned this obviously because we've been looking at it.
And
I'm
one of the
definitely gonna
reasons
tinker
why
around with it.
I wanted to show this to my content creator friends to see if they would be able to use it. So you were someone specifically that I wanted to like pitch this project to because I feel
Yeah,
like this
yeah,
could be useful for you both for your own personal stuff and for your work stuff as well. So
yeah,
if you play around with it, just like let me know, and I'll be super curious to see how it
yeah, yeah,
goes.
yeah. No, I'm trying to think. So yeah, so when you do packages, like if we talk through like kind of your ideas again for like productizing it. So you were saying you can spin up Whisper.cpp, no problem. So you can just basically send it a URL, I guess, or whatever the payload you need to go over there. And
Right, yeah. And what I'm thinking is just the simplest would be you would just have like an input form where someone could give a YouTube video and
yeah,
or a playlist, and it would need to analyze it to know basically how long it is, because the
yeah,
length is going to decide the cost, because the length translates fairly well to like the number of tokens in a vague sense,
yeah,
unless someone's like really talking super duper hyper fast for some reason. But so then you would basically have different transcription services you could pick from and different transcription models you could pick from that would each have different costs. And then
yeah, yeah,
different LLMs you could pick from that would each have different costs. And I would need to have some sort of calculation on the back end that would basically let you pick these, and then I would spit out a cost for that. Or
yeah,
so that would be like single use. Then the next level would be I have to figure out how do I offer a subscription that lets people pay a monthly rate that gives them a certain
yeah,
allocation. And then that's where it gets more complicated, because then it's like, well,
yeah,
people will be paying for subscriptions and maybe not using it all, so you can make up some margins there. But if someone does sign up and uses every single amount they pay for every single
yeah,
time, then does that have to be totally worked out so that there's profits? So that's why I say there's
yeah,
a lot of things to kind of work out there in terms of the
yeah,
actual monetization aspect. So single use videos is probably the first thing I'll implement, because I can calculate something where I know I'm going to make a profit.
yeah. Yeah. I almost wonder if like pay as you go makes more sense. I was looking at like Assembly AI and it's I think they said like it's like 12 cents an hour, for example. Like that's just for
Yeah,
transcription, obviously, but um yeah,
that
like
seems simpler to calculate. Yeah.
yeah, because like I feel like you potentially complicate your life if you said like, okay, it's I don't know, $15 a month. Oh, you didn't use it this month. So like I mean, I guess you could
Yeah.
do that,
It would be a lot
but
more complicated. Yeah.
yeah. And the thing is like if you set some fixed rate per month, like what if somebody goes over it, one or two people, not a big deal because the other ones even it out, but like if everybody starts using it like wild, you're definitely going to lose some money. So like I
Yeah.
feel like the
Hmm.
the pay as you go with some margin in there obviously for you to make money. Um
Hmm.
would make sense, but also I've never built a paid app, so like I'm sure there's prior art and people that you could speak to that have done it before, like even like my buddy Vic, how he works over at Twilio, or it's called Segment now,
Hmm.
but he's built a few SaaSes, and I don't know if he's done anything with AI, but like he could maybe speak to like pricing stuff or because yeah, you definitely want to get the pricing right, because
Hmm.
then it's like I just screwed myself over, kind of,
Totally. Yeah. Yeah, definitely. And that's
Yeah,
why I'm kind of slow rolling that part. Like I'm getting a sense of the landscape and like the tooling and the stuff I'm building out and the costs associated with it. And I'm kind of just like I'm gathering a lot of data right
yeah,
now and just like building stuff out at the same time, and then just like sharing with other people and trying to get a sense for where to go with it next. So yeah, this has all been
yeah,
super duper useful. And this is like
yeah,
the stuff I built for this stream was like a really actually getting the APIs, the transcription LME APIs, as like a super super important step. So I'm really glad you gave me like impetus to finally ship that part.
Yeah, yeah. So sometimes it's like good pressure. Like you're like, oh, I want to show this on stream, so I better just do
Yeah.
it.
Exactly. Yeah.
I do well with motivation like that too. Like I don't know, people talk about not liking pressure sometimes, or it's not a good thing. I think there's definitely positive pressure. There's obviously negative pressure too. You know, if somebody's like just, if they're like just Anthony, man, just get this shit done. You know, like we've got a deadline. Like that's, you could
That
word it
sucks.
differently,
Yeah.
I guess.
Yeah.
But also, I know it's not to get in the weeds, but like if things are always pressing like that, that could be like a management issue as well, like
Well, the
because
thing
like
I
everyone,
like about
yeah,
having streams is that it's like as long as I will know that I just need to have it built the day before. And it's like
yeah,
I can have the whole day to build it, but if I'm trying to build it the day before the stream, then I know something has
yeah,
gone terribly wrong.
yeah, yeah, yeah. There was what was I gonna say? I know you're using Commander in the project. There's like when I was working at Netlify, because I was working on the Remix adapter, they use a project called Inquirer, and you can build out stuff too there. And I think it's promise based, and actually the Netlify CLI uses Inquirer as well too. So like you can basically do promise based stuff, and it might have better ergonomics. I haven't really looked at Commander because I typically am not building out CLI stuff, but there's
Yeah,
also
so
other interesting
I
stuff.
have looked at this. This is what's really nice about this is that it's an interactive CLI.
Yeah,
So
that was it.
it's
Yeah, yeah,
yeah. So this is actually this is one of the next things that I was probably going to look at in terms of
okay,
the making the CLI nicer is that you can have it be an interactive prompt will say, hey, do you want to give me a
yeah,
YouTube video or playlist or RSS feed? And then, hey,
yeah,
do you want to let it select the model you want? Let it select whether you want color chat. So that's the next step. You're 100% of the money. Yeah, that's one of the
yeah,
next steps. That's making the and this is where I'm going to end up in this interesting space where I can work more on the open source stuff or work more on the paid product stuff. Because it's like
yeah,
I can make the CLI way nicer and way doper, but that's not really gonna make me any money. But I am going to enjoy doing it because I am going to use the CLI. Like I use this every single day now. So
yeah, yeah,
having a nice interactive CLI prompt is like hell yeah, like I want that for me. So I'm gonna build that for me and that's gonna be nice for everyone else.
yeah. And Nate in the chat is saying, uh, where is it?
He's saying my
Love this
perspective is
combo.
so deep. I'm so
Yeah, you
deep,
went deep,
guys.
man. Yeah,
No, thank you, Nate. I appreciate that. I've been thinking about a lot of this stuff a lot. This project has like been the very all consuming for me and like in a good way. And that's allowed me to go
yeah,
very, very deep on a lot of stuff and learn a lot in the process and build some cool stuff. And I feel like I have skin in the game in a way where
yeah,
I haven't had on previous projects where I kind of just like found a cool framework and like contributed to it, which is like nice, but it's not yours, you know. Like you really,
yeah,
uh, what has been was like my website. I had the same skin in the game for like ajcwebdev.com, which is like a super cool Astro site that I've gotten very deep in. But this has
yeah, yeah,
been like something that I can't really share that with someone. It's like my website is not useful to anyone else. It's just like a website. Whereas like this is something I can give to other
yeah,
people and be like, hey, like I like Ben Holmes was super into this. He thought it was very cool. So
yeah,
actually, Nate, you might actually get some use out of this. I know you create a lot of video content and do streaming content, so
yeah.
I'm
Nate
curious if
streams quite a bit.
you wanted to try this out as well. But yeah, and anyone
Yeah.
else out there watching, you know, if you think this is cool or you want to learn more, you want to contribute, hit me up. Someone's gonna have to convert to TypeScript at some point because I'm not going to.
I can do it. I don't mind. That'll give me something to do.
All right, well, hell
Yeah.
yeah.
Well, the thing with TypeScript, I know you haven't done a ton of it, is obviously there's types in it, but
Is
I've
there?
been doing yeah. Well, I've been doing TypeScript like since the early days, since like I
Yeah.
think fall 2015, and
I've
like
done a
it's
decent amount of TypeScript at this point. I just haven't enjoyed it.
well, the nice thing now is because like when it first came out, like there was no inference. You had to explicitly type stuff
Yeah.
all the time, and
Yeah,
now
I can only
like
imagine.
yeah. But like nowadays, I'm like team infer as much as you can, So like, I would say
Yeah.
typically if you're in like library code land, you're probably gonna have more explicit types versus or complex types versus your actual application that consumes a library. Like you'll still
Could
have
we
some types,
actually?
obviously, but
Yeah, I would love to actually plan a stream with you in a month or two where we sit down and figure out how the hell we would type this because I'm going to need
yeah,
help with that.
yeah.
I'm
Well,
man enough to admit it.
well, the thing, because I've migrated like large code bases to TypeScript before, and you basically want to do
Or
an incremental approach. And
yeah.
so, like, typically what you can do is, install TypeScript, obviously, you add a
Mhm,
TS configuration, and you can set it to allow JS. You remove the strictness initially. I'm
mhm,
kind of team strict. I think it makes sense, but like when you're migrating to TypeScript, it doesn't make sense because like basically if you have it in strict mode and then all of a sudden you just rename all your files to like .ts, like you're gonna just have a terrible time. So like by allowing JavaScript as well, like you can just incrementally update things. And typically what I do is like if we're speaking of like in the context of say like a React application or like some front end application, you kind of want to go from the outside in because if you
mhm,
go from the inside out first, you're going to say like, okay, I converted this thing to TypeScript and oh, it's importing this and this and none of those things, there's all kinds of type errors. So like for example, like an example would be like think of like the page of a website as the inside part and like maybe it's got a few components it uses, convert those components first and then like once all those are converted then you can do the page. That's probably how I'd
mhm.
approach it. Like obviously different with like I mean same concept, like your page in this case would be like the main program and then like utility functions. I would probably work on the utility functions that I'm using first and stuff. And it'd be a fun thing to do because we could probably do it over several streams or at least a few streams.
Yeah, I mean, the first thing I
It's
would do is I would feed my entire code base to ChatGPT and say, write the types,
yeah,
and
yeah,
then start there, and then compare that to what you would actually do and see how close it got.
yeah. Well, no, I would definitely use ChatGPT and Copilot and like even
Yeah,
Claude. You introduced me to Claude and it's actually pretty
yeah,
solid for code stuff.
Claude. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah, Claude. Sorry, sorry. I was
yeah,
I
yeah.
was doing the French naming. Sorry, Quebecois.
Claude. No,
Yeah.
Yeah, Claude's the best. I'm a big fan. I call him Jibbity and Claudie is what I call
Yeah, it's hilarious. But like, yeah, I find it super useful for creating types too, because like sometimes I'll be like, I know, or like even generating data. Like for example, like I was writing like some storybook stories, and because like typically I'm doing most of the front end at open source,
him.
along with like Zayu, my coworker. But uh,
Hmm.
I'll just be like, this is the shape I need. You know, uh, create an array of like 12 items with that shape, and then return it as like I don't know, set the variable to like users and then like give me the array and like that's typically how I do code gen stuff. Oh, take care of B1
Hmm.
mine later, my man.
Yeah.
um yeah, but also converting types, like you just grab a snippet of JSON and
Hmm.
just say like generate the type for this for me, because a lot of times it'll convert stuff to string, but like sometimes it might know like, oh, I need to create a union type because these are the only two possible things and stuff. But I'm definitely using, AI in my daily workflow, like all the time.
Yeah,
It's
totally.
like, I don't know, but yeah, no, this is super cool, my man, and like I think I think the neat thing about this too is like obviously you had a problem you wanted to solve. But
Hmm.
like in your experience, like obviously you're a little more comfortable with these things, but how approachable was it to actually build this out? Because I think people get intimidated by like AI and like, oh no, or it's like this big scary thing, and I don't really think it is. It's like anything
Well, what's
else. You got
funny
to
is
learn it a bit.
the AI stuff is kind of trivial in a certain sense. The almost all this is just node scripting is really what
Yeah,
it came down to. It's just understanding how to use node to execute commands, to write the right places, and to pass flags, to give different options. It's like all of this is just like node stuff, you know. And then every now and then you hit a command that spits out a whole bunch
yeah,
of text for you, and that's the AI part. but like you don't have to build any AI stuff. Like you're just building a node project and then you're integrating it
Yeah.
with APIs or building in, specific tooling that can run like transcription and stuff like that. But all that
Yeah,
stuff is
totally.
like that's the simplest part of the project is integrating the AI stuff
Yeah.
actually.
And I think this kind of ties into like how I was saying, like, at work we're all moving towards becoming AI engineers. Like obviously
Hmm.
I'm still doing front end stuff, and like, there's
Yeah.
there's my other coworker doing focusing more on infra, but like I listen to the Leighton podcast a lot from Swix, and I forget who
Sure.
the other
Yeah.
person
Same.
does it with him.
Alessio.
Yeah, Alessio, thank you. Um, but like, there's the distinction, like I don't know if this is the best way to frame it, but like I think of AI engineers as being the blue collar workers of like AI machine learning, because like I
Yeah.
honestly I don't care about the academics. I've never been an academic. Like I just want to
Yeah.
build
Well,
things.
that's what's interesting is that to build a project like this 5 years ago would have required a PhD. To build
Yeah.
it 2 years ago would have required some hyper specific knowledge about OpenAI's APIs. To build it
Yeah.
today, right now, you have a whole bunch of APIs to pick from, and it's just like which API is
Yeah.
going to be the simplest for you to work with. And most of them, it's just like you're just throwing text to a thing and getting text back.
Yeah. 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 And also, to be clear, no disrespect to blue collar workers, because like honestly my plumber is probably making more money than me. but but yeah, no, I that's yeah, and
Yeah,
like I mean
the
I've listened.
last jobs alive will be electricians and plumbers. They'll have jobs
Yeah,
way past us.
yeah, totally, cuz like trust me, it doesn't matter what you're doing in tech, if your toilet doesn't flush, you got issues. um
True.
but yeah, I think like I don't know if that's exactly how Swix frames it, but yeah, like there's still the academics that are really like building the large language
Yeah.
models, going
Mhm.
deep into like NLP, and then the networks, the neural networks and stuff, and like I think it's probably good to have some understanding of that, but like I just don't want to get into the academics of it. I want to
Mhm.
have a good enough working knowledge that I know what I'm talking about to some degree, and I'm
Yeah, you
building
want
stuff.
Yeah, it's really about the APIs because the APIs will expose some of the more academic stuff, like temperature. Like you can adjust the temperature of a model, and most people would if they've just worked with a ChatGPT interface, they don't even know what the frick temperature is. They've never been able to
Yeah.
configure it before. So the APIs will expose some underlying things to let you mess with some of the more academic things, but you
Yeah.
can kind of you can get into that when you need to, like as you need to start tweaking the output of your LLMs to like make, or you need to increase how much they can take in, how much they put out, because you're optimizing for cost. There's all these ways to configure them and to work with
Yeah.
them, and that is the AI engineering stuff for sure. And that's a deep, it is deep, and there's a lot to do there. But you
Yeah.
can
Yeah.
you can
Totally.
take that one step at a time. You can start with just like how do I throw a hunk of text at this thing, get a hunk of text back. Like just start with
Yeah.
that,
Yeah.
and that's gonna get you really far, actually.
Yeah. No, totally. And it's I don't know. I say this to people all the time. Like I know like the job market is kind of in the toilet a bit. It's kind of resurfacing, I think, but like I still think it's
Better than
like
it
an
was a year and a
amazing
half ago.
yeah. I don't know. I still think like even though people talk about things getting more complex, I still think it's an amazing time to be a web developer or a software developer. It's
I'm
like
having a blast. I'm having the most
yeah,
fun coding I've ever had with all this stuff. Absolutely, 100%. Like there's a lot
yeah,
of cynicism around it, and a lot of I think the skepticism is warranted. I think the cynicism I don't think is warranted because I think this stuff is
yeah,
exciting and empowering, and you just got to not buy into the hype and understand what they can do and can't do and get your hands
yeah,
on it. But like you can build really cool stuff now you could not build 2 years ago. And I know this. I tried to build stuff like this 2 years ago.
yeah. No, totally. I'm just dropping links where people can give you a
Yeah.
follow again,
Yeah,
and
check me out AJC Web Dev on the internet. We can probably
yeah,
start closing it out here because I gotta use the bathroom actually. But
yeah, yeah, no,
this
no,
is
I'll get, I'll get.
this is super
Yeah,
great,
check
man.
out the
I super
repo.
enjoy these streams, and I would love to do another one in a month or so.
Yeah, yeah, no, definitely hit me up. We'll do it on your stream if you want, or I mean, I'm happy to do it
Yeah,
here too, but we
no, that
can
sounds
we can
good.
hop on yours,
Yeah,
and
awesome.
Yeah, I don't know. I might attempt to put effect into your project and see.
I mean, listen, can we start with TypeScript first before we
Yeah,
go
yeah,
full
yeah,
effect?
yeah, yeah. Cool, cool. Yeah.
No, that would be
Awesome.
fun. I would learn a bunch, and you're the man to guide. You will be my TypeScript shaman.
Cool, cool. I'll just say to folks that are still in the chat, I'll probably be live streaming some work tomorrow, but Friday I'm gonna be hanging out with Josh. I'm not sure how you say his last name. Sierra. He's the DevRel over at Laravel, and we're gonna be digging into
Nice.
Laravel. So if you're looking to purchase a Lambo in the next month, I encourage you to join the stream on Friday. And yeah, I don't know. It'll be exciting because like I
Oh, I'll
personally
watch
have
that.
yeah, I
I
use
follow
PHP,
Josh on
but
Twitter.
the last time I used PHP was PHP 5. They literally just got, I think it was PHP 5 where they got classes. Uh I'd done definitely WordPress, but the last thing I built was is kind of like a single page app for a doctor in Africa. It was to check for sickle cell disease and stuff. And
Oh
anyways,
wow.
it was this Frankenstein of an app I made. It was jQuery mobile with like PHP, not even WordPress or anything, just like straight up like that. It was kind of like a single page app, but that was like kind of my last foray into PHP. Aside from occasionally, I would do some like minor WordPress stuff for some people. So
Yeah.
I'm excited because I've heard only good things about Laravel. You know, it's batteries included, and you can be super productive right away.
It's
So
like
yeah,
the redwood for PHP, am I right?
yeah, yeah, exactly, exactly. Cool, cool. Yeah. Speaking of which, I'm gonna be hanging with Amy Dutton at some point once
Oh, great.
once the RSCs are like no longer experimental. I think because we're still doing some work on them. But
Yeah. No, I will watch the crap out of that stream. I will be there.
cool, cool, awesome. All right, well, take care, everybody, and Anthony, if you just don't mind staying on for a sec, and we'll
Yep.
probably see you tomorrow. Later.